All right, how you guys doing today? We're about to hop into a little reaction. First things first, though, man, make sure you like that video, dog. Hit a little exit full screen, scroll a bit, like it, full screen back up. You fail me. Don't mind that. I gotta do my laundry. I just gotta fold it. Yeah. I just left the gym. I'm mad tired. This isn't even the video you're supposed to get. I actually have like an hour and a half worth of footage to edit, which I think is 2 videos that I'm gonna do, maybe 3. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. Atrocious, but yeah, we're gonna watch a video. I don't give a flying fadoodle. All right, so we got another video coming from Jubilee. We got 5 pastors versus 2 secret atheists on the odd one out. So judging from last video, you know, some people don't actually know the gospel, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes these people are in fact pastors. So we might be voting at a pastor who we think is an atheist just because of the fact they don't actually know the gospel. So we're gonna see what it's saying. We're gonna see what it's saying. But I'm gonna be playing along too, and I hope you guys do too. Through the screen.
I'm a pastor.
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 So what about an introduction to start things off? My name is Jay. I'm an Episcopal priest.
I'm Don, pastor, non-denominational.
Dominic, Lutheran pastor.
Paul, youth pastor, SBC.
Paul wore a whole suit, and I was like, oh, maybe he's overcompensating. Like, I don't know what a pastor would wear on a Saturday. Maybe it's the suit.
So I'm Zach, former Calvary Chapel pastor, and now like fully Calvary guy.
Whoa! Yeah.
Talking about some overcompensating. Also, are we counting youth pastor? I feel like that's a bit cop-outy, but who knows?
Whoa! Yes.
Yeah,
That's my pastor, well, online pastor, Calvary Chapel, Ontario, Paul. So I like Calvary Chapel.
it's the tattoos and stuff. My strategy is going to be this idea of like really trying to just hear the heart behind like why people are pastoring.
Daniel, also youth pastor, non-denominational.
I'm Anna, largely non-denominational, kind of all over the place over the years.
I mean, I have a question like education. So seminary, maybe degrees. I don't know.
Seminary, theological studies.
Okay. Yeah. Where at?
King's College as well as Oxford University.
Yeah. Was that like an MA or was it an MDiv or
You're
what?
drilling me in.
I know.
Absolutely drilling you in.
No, your turn.
Oh, my turn.
Your turn. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
so
Give it to him.
So I'm in an MA program at Western Seminary currently.
I went to Calvary Chapel Bible
Come
College.
on, dude.
And then did the Veritas program, so degree in theology with a focus in biblical studies.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Actually, not really a formal institution, but I grew up in such a rural area. There was just nothing for so far. So almost more like an apprenticeship kind of context.
yeah.
Tiny town with tinier towns around it. So we all would kind of come to the same Lutheran church primarily when I was studying.
What kind of Lutheran church?
Again, such a small area that just Lutheran. There's so few people together.
Generic brand.
Yes, generic run-of-the-mill Lutherans.
I don't know nothing about Lutheran, so I don't know if that's suspect or not. All I know is she's a woman, and the Bible says there should not be women pastors. So
Like that.
Immediately, I thought, well, if she's a Lutheran pastor, she would definitely say which denomination she would be.
What town did you grow up in?
Upper Michigan, actually. Very small area.
What town?
Near Marquette. It's kind of one of the big cities around there, but
Gotcha.
it's the one that someone would know.
Anna spoke in very general terms. I don't even think she knew the city that she came from, but she knew the city that was next to the city she came from. And at that point, I was done.
You mentioned that you didn't grow up in the church. More of that going around?
that's a good point.
So I've been there all my life. I was baptized at 7 years old. I don't think I really became a believer until I was 30, to be perfectly honest. I did it because I was brought up, and this is what you're supposed to do. You do what they do, and what they say, and you believe, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, and then I got kicked out.
From what I knew about Lutherans, there should have been a very specific answer to that question, and that kind of threw me off.
ANNA. Done.
Of course, the woman's not bad.
So that's
Check your bias. Bye.
Being the only woman in the group today was a little tricky. Obviously, not being able to always edge my way into the conversation was not able to present it in the way that I would have liked and that I thought would have been more effective.
I walked in and I was
She's not even supposed to be there anyway, low key, like biblically, but you know, I guess.
so happy that there was a female pastor because they're the only types of people that are as rare as gay pastors like myself. It's very much still new where we're
What? What's going on?
seeing queer pastors and queer worship leaders and queer Christians. Tell me, you got kicked out for why?
Get off the stage.
I got kicked out. Well, I got kicked out because I was in the church, and as I grew older in the church, I began to ask questions that to me were very obvious.
What was one of those questions?
Is baptism essential for salvation? You know, communion, you know, some of those, you know, battleground questions that oftentimes separate, you know, faith and denominations. Yeah.
I pastored high school kids for years, and I never had any of them asking me that question.
I want to know what everybody's ministry response.
What?
And as I grew older in the church, I began to ask questions that to me were very obvious.
What was one of those questions?
Is baptism essential for salvation? You know, communion, you know, some of those, you know, battleground questions that oftentimes separate, you know, faith and denominations. Yeah.
I pastored high school kids for years, and I never had any of them asking me that question.
I don't know what high school this man had been at. Pastor Paul talks about people always asking him that question via email. I don't know where he was at, what he was telling these kids. Maybe he covered that base already. I don't know. But
I
people
want
do
to know
be
what
asking that
everybody's
question.
ministry responsibilities are and what you're currently teaching.
I had a video of rebuking that one guy who said baptism is necessary for salvation. It's not. If you didn't know, it's not. It's a symbol of how we connect to Jesus Christ, just like he did by becoming a man in flesh form. But digress.
Teaching through.
Yeah, so I'm an assistant teaching pastor, and so we're replanting, revitalizing. So I'm an elder and a teaching pastor.
I serve at a small Korean church in La Mirada, California, and I take care of the youth ministry.
He didn't give an answer.
Question.
I want to know what everybody's ministry responsibilities are and what you're currently teaching through.
Yeah, so I'm an assistant teaching pastor, and so we're replanting, revitalizing. So I'm an elder and a teaching pastor.
What?
These are and what you're currently teaching through.
Yeah, so
He said responsibilities and all that, or what you're teaching through. I'm an assistant teaching pastor.
I'm
You
an
do
assistant
teachers.
teaching pastor, and so we're
do
replanting,
teach.
revitalizing.
We're replanting, we're revitalizing. I teach, but we're replanting, we're
So I'm an
revitalizing.
elder and a teaching pastor.
I
Bro,
serve
what
at
does
a
that
small
mean?
Korean church in La Mirada, California, and I take care of the youth ministry.
So I'm kind of semi-retired.
What does that mean?
I also don't have a congregation, although I work with one. It's a little Episcopal church in San Clemente. I also have a weird job that I'm chaplain to a governmental agency.
Jay answered a question about being retired, but he never indicated what he was retired from. And after years of being in ministry or serving, I thought there would have been a culmination of his life experiences, and now he's doing a part-time assistant thing. And I thought, okay, so we've slipped into some unknown factors about yourself, Jay.
I don't pastor a church. I pastor pastors. So I work for a denomination, and I preach at different congregations every week.
I'm not in the pulpit right now, but I am.
He pastors by preaching in front of.
So I work for a denomination, and I preach at different congregations every
I mean, I guess.
week.
I'm not in the pulpit right now, but I am teaching in small groups, conversations. There's a lot of dogmatic positions that are just generalized for Christendom.
So I have a question. I mean, when's the last time you were in a hospital room with somebody, and what comfort did you give them in a time that was critical?
I hate this question.
I think that someone who is in pastoral ministry, it's more than just preaching and teaching. I felt a question that would get at that about how somebody gives the comfort and the peace of the presence of God would really indicate whether or not they were a pastor and they were involved in that type of ministry.
Last time I was in the hospital was not too long ago. It was, I'd actually become almost a medical proxy for a family friend's mother. She was elderly and just kind of going through, and it was very, very tender for me. But the comfort that I gave was in knowing that her family was nearby and knowing that beyond this moment, when she stepped out of time into eternity, she would be in the place she longed to be.
I've only had to do it once, and it was very recent, and I hated it with every fiber of my being because it was for somebody that I loved, and it was a lot of waiting and quiet and very, very soft prayers and just kind of being there, and I'm shaking. I hated it.
I don't like that question. Like, oh, what kind of ministry do you do? It's like, well, yes, the pastors do ministry, specifically hospital ministry. They don't have to do it doesn't have to be a very specific type of ministry like that, but the whole congregation as a whole is called to do ministry biblically. Pastor Paul be talking about in his sermons, right? So I wouldn't put it on the pastor only, especially in hospitals. Like, anybody can go to the hospital, but it is a big part. I know my pastor at home does that a lot, but
The thing that I thought I spotted was that he was just trying too hard.
The way that he was answering the questions was very old school.
The way he was answering the question is very old school, bro. You're a gay pastor. Christianity's about old school. It's the beginning of the earth. That's old. What are you talking about?
Y'all know Jesus?
Sorry. Sorry, dude.
Good
I see
answer.
what's happening. First the woman, then the black man, the gay is next. I see what's happening.
What the devil? Me? I question everybody else left up there. Do they know Jesus? I know it.
If you think the
What
mole
the
is
devil
still in
is
the
crazy.
box and you want to continue playing the game, please raise your hand.
So let's start with the question of what does atheism mean to you?
I talk to my kids a lot about agnosticism, more than I talk about atheism, just because of the oversimplification of as an atheist, I don't believe in God. Well, what is God?
I go back to what Augustine the Hippo said, right? All hearts are restless until they find rest in God. An atheist is not the enemy. It's not just because you don't believe in the God that I love and serve. It doesn't mean you're the enemy. It means that you're restless in your heart and you're trying to search for meaning and belonging in anything other than God.
I'd be curious
That was a fantastic answer. I trust him.
to know if anybody on stage that did not have a real serious questioning time.
You are very quiet, and that's just a little sus to me.
What was the question?
You are the best dressed.
I'm a little overdressed today. So the question was, have I ever wrestled with faith? To be honest, I wrestled more with my calling, more than my faith. My faith, once I had an experience and encounter with God out of drug addiction, my faith was pretty solid. But with the calling, I think I wrestled countless amount of times. In high school, my parents decided to split, and that's when I really went on a frenzy with drug addiction. I struggled with meth, crystal meth, from my junior year. I think that's what really put me to the pit of my life, the most rock bottom of my life, and the only way I could go is to look up.
So I have a question. How do we feel about eschatology?
Well, we're amillennial.
You're on the
Part of theology concerned with death, judgment, the final destiny, so on, humankind.
So we are in the end times.
Yeah,
We were the second
totally.
Jesus that was
Yeah,
finished.
I have a lot more openness to the all-nil position than I did. Going to Calvary Chapel was hype.
I don't know how I did that.
I have a lot more openness to the all-nil position than I did. Going to Calvary Chapel was hyper-dispensational.
I'm
Hyper-dispensational pre-nail,
because of this.
Because of your background.
Yeah.
So I know that's, cool.
You know, I don't expect the end time anytime soon.
I sensed maybe a little bit of woundedness that he was putting forth, and wondering if maybe that was part of what he was using as a mask there.
Woundedness?
I won't lie to you, Jay looked super familiar, and I was banking on him being a paid actor that I had seen in something before.
There was a tie. The tie is between Jay and Daniel. I will give you each.
He can't be a Christian, bro. What are we talking about? He cursing on TV like that? And he's gay and a pastor? Nah.
On the clock, 30 seconds to state your case.
You know, I don't know what to say except that I think we should have.
I know they didn't see that because it was like a behind the scenes thing, but like it's got to be him.
I should have not voted for the redo. Other than that, you know, went to seminary 85 to 88. MDiv, Episcopal priest for 35 years. I thought what was going to do me in is I'm really liberal, and you guys just killed me on that. So that's basically it.
I know what to say. I'm a pastor. Please don't vote me out. It's as simple as that. I know that I've been ordained for a bit, and I'm in this like new congregation I'm really excited about. And the reason that I actually came was because I heard that there was some cash, and I was like, I really want to take the kids on like a cool trip, and so I really want to like split some of this cash with the kids in the youth group. So that's why I'm here, and I don't want to get voted out. Also, don't be homophobic in June.
It's him. Bro,
I was a youth pastor, man. Like,
there.
we had budgets for that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't use my own personal money.
I definitely saw the heart in Jay, and I felt like Daniel was more of a presentation.
Facts. It's him, bro.
Called it.
If the lights turn green, that means the mole is out and you win. If the lights turn red, that means the mole is still in the box and you lose. 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
No, guys.
Can the moles please reveal themselves? 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
I'm gonna play against the rest
Oh,
of
yeah. Hey, my apologies, man.
Absolutely.
My apologies.
Absolutely.
And Calvary Chapel, all of that was real?
I do have a degree in theology from Calvary Chapel.
Got it.
A big part of it was a personal desire for knowledge and understanding of my own existence. So that was really what drove the course. And I wanted to feel like I was doing everything I could to get those answers.
So I have actually worked in the church for about 8 years total as a pianist and organist on and off, so I had a lot to draw from.
Here's what got me. As a Lutheran,
know
there
what
are
it
no
is.
general Lutherans.
Yes. That got me.
Well, no, that really is because I'm from such a loosely populated area that really is the case. Is there's so little that even brings people together. There's a lot of churches that are people who are strongly Catholic, strongly Lutheran, that will all be in the same place because like a whole town will be like a gas station, a corner store, and 10 houses.
So we are very much in a turning point in the community when it comes to queer individuals in Christianity. Even though I do not
Bro. No.
subscribe to Christianity, it's great to see at least a portion of queer individuals in Christianity. Even though I do not subscribe to Christianity, it's great to see at least a portion of this community that has such a large history of having a negative agenda towards us as a community, opening up their eyes, admitting their wrongs, apologizing and seeking reconciliation. And I think that it can only
Admitting our wrongs. We're right.
get better so long as they continue to move on that track.
Pastors actually think a little bit more deeply about people and their condition of their soul, and I really hope that those who view this would actually seek out that type of spiritual direction as well.
Make it rain.
Oh, make it rain. All right. Okay. All right. We gotta do it.
Yeah.
So like I said at the beginning, there's them people that don't actually know the gospel. That could be actual pastors of churches. Just like that gay man was portraying. Just like that woman was portraying. And even though they did get voted out, somewhere, there's a gay pastor. I've seen it. Well, I don't know. He was just a Catholic guy wearing rainbows and saying that gay people are cool. But I don't know if he was gay. I don't think you ride that hard for them if you weren't riding them, you know what I'm saying? And women pastors, they exist too. So it is what it is. I definitely would have voted out bro. The woman, I don't know. I wasn't playing fully. Maybe next time. All right, that's gonna be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourselves fantastic rest of your day. Peace.